After 41 years in a prison cell, Lebanese resistance figure and activist Georges Abdallah has been granted the freedom he was long denied by both France and the US, as the now 74-year-old is Europe's longest-held prisoner and one of the world's oldest prisoners alongside Palestinians imprisoned in the occupied territories. Arrested in 1984 in France for the alleged murder of U.S. military attaché Charles Ray and Israeli agent Yaakov Bar Simantov following Israel's invasion of Lebanon in 1978, Abdallah was kept locked up despite being legally eligible for parole in 1999. We spoke to one of his lawyers, Fida Abdel Fattah, who is currently preparing for Abdullah's arrival back home in Beirut.
Georges Abdallah's case began in 1984, as we all know, when Beirut was being bombed by the United States and when Lebanese territory was being occupied by the Israeli enemy. He was an icon and still is, and we continue to fight in the case of Georges Abdallah and what he stands for.
The U.S. continuously submitted appeals to the court in Paris to oppose Georges Abdallah's release almost 12 times, says his lawyer. She says the U.S. not only attempted to block his release from prison, but just doing so repeatedly is a violation of international law.
The United States of America has never stopped pressuring the French administration to keep Georges Abdallah in prison, and the United States contributed to the illegal and unjust imprisonment that remains baseless. It contributed in the impediment of the repeated decisions to release Georges Abdallah since 1999. The United States sent a letter to the French administration in this last decision to stop his release. This whole case has been a political case and one that violates plainly and clearly international laws. Georges Abdallah will be coming home to Lebanon and will remain representing many around the world as his photos will continue to be held high in protests and marches that call for the liberation of Palestine and the liberation of Gaza, because George represents this cause through his fight for the course of 41 years. His stance was clear and grounded, as it was for the big liberation, the liberation of Palestine.
The revolutionary is to return home to Lebanon on July 25 as his lawyers, supporters, and the Lebanese people prepare to celebrate a victory in the cause and fight against the Zionist occupation and imperialist agendas against the Lebanese and the Palestinians.